vision, one of a kind. He's the Aussie Overlaw'd. He'll fight for your rights, and he's got his own channel shining bright. From the courtroom to the web, he's got it all. Sharing legal knowledge, answering the call. He breaks it down in a language we all understand. The Aussie Overlaw'd taking a stand. With his Aussie charm and his legal know-how, he's the hero we need, showing us how. He fights for justice, no case too tough. The Aussie Overlaw'd, he's more than enough. He's more than enough. In Melbourne town, where the suits all grind, there's a lawyer with a vision, one of a kind. He's the Aussie Overlaw'd. He'll fight for your rights, and he's got his own channel shining bright. From the courtroom to the web, he's got it all. Sharing legal knowledge, answering the call. He breaks it down in a language we all understand. The Aussie Overlaw'd taking a stand. With his Aussie charm and his legal know-how, he's the hero we need, showing us how. He fights for justice, no case too tough. The Aussie Overlaw'd, he's more than enough. He's more than enough.
And good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome to today's episode of To Be Advised here on the Law News and Laughter channel. Hope you're doing well, people. It has been a hell of a week. Now, what are we looking at tonight? Well, today I'm jumping around because it's like almost 1 a.m. So this week's been rough, people, as you're aware. Thank you to everybody that's been joining me for the Traveling Lawyer series. It's really been about all I can do in terms of streaming during the week at the moment. I am building my tolerance up, and I'm hoping to be able to start streaming at a night time at some point soon. Keep an eye out, because I'm also hoping to start doing morning streams my time, so afternoon streams US time. Have yet to decide whether or not they're going to be trial streams or whatnot. If you haven't already, there is a poll going up on my X page and the community post as to what you would like to see during that period. What we're going to be talking about tonight is a few different things. As it turns out, I thought that Judge Bev Canone was supposed to be retiring after the whole Karen Reid thing. Turns out she's taking on another socialite case that just started in Canton. So we're going to have a look at the opening statements on that one, because as you'd expect, questions about the fidelity of the court are front and center in that one. We've got a Australian hospital manager calling a workforce of clinical marshmallows. Not only did they mispronounce and misspell marshmallows, but I just thought it was funny. Yes, I'm time traveling at this point. We have an update in the Elizabeth Strews case. We have a couple of sort of heartbreaking cases as well that we're going to be talking about. There's a Perth girl who was pretty much starved to death. She survived, but of course she's attended trial in support of her parents who did the starving. Strangely enough, New Zealand has named a mountain as a legal person, and And grim numbers as Australians are experiencing long-term homelessness despite incoming waves of what I would personally class as illegal immigrants, but anyway. It's now risen to 25% of Australians. 1 in 4 is experiencing long-term homelessness despite everything that government keeps saying and continuing to bring in additional individuals. I think it's about time we hold the government to account, personally. But anyway, let's get stuck into it, people. Welcome to today's episode of Law News and Laughter. Alright, first things first, we're starting with an update on the Queensland influencer who decided to use her very young child as a way of trying to boost views, shall we say. Poor kid was used and abused and more or less thrown to the curb in a way for her mum to become internet insta-famous. To say that I'm pissed off about this one is an understatement. But she's officially in court, so let's have a look. Queensland influencer accused of drugging her baby daughter with anticonvulsant medication. A Queensland social media influencer is accused of drugging her 18-month-old daughter with anticonvulsant medication, which she had recently been told to stop using by doctors, a court has heard. The 34-year-old, who cannot be named to protect the identity of the child, I'll give you a hint, it's not difficult to find her on Insta, appeared in the Brisbane Magistrates Court on Tuesday, where she made an application for bail. She's facing several charges, including multiple counts of administering poison with intent to harm, and 1 count each of torture, making child exploitation material, and fraud. That poor little baby. It's been previously alleged that she poisoned her daughter and recorded her suffering in a bid to boost her online profile and elicit $60,000 in donations via crowdfunding. During the hearing, the court heard that the girl had been diagnosed with a genetic disorder, tuberous sclerosis, pretty sure I pronounced that right, as an infant and suffered benign tumours. The court heard last year she'd been receiving medical care for her condition and had been prescribed the drug carbamazepine. Carlos dropping a membership, thank you. Very much appreciate that. Good morning, John. Her medical team suspected the medication was triggering seizures, so the treatment was stopped. However, the woman still had the prescription for it, the court heard. The court heard that the alleged suspicious conduct by the woman, which was captured on video, was reported to police in early October last year. Police prosecutor Jack Scott told the court video footage allegedly showed the woman with a syringe that did not relate to the child's illness. Mr. Scott told the court further footage allegedly showed the woman placing her child under a blanket before she seen fiddling with the nasogastric tube.
Stingy said, "Dad, you need to come home more often. Mom's been bringing home a few uncles, and we keep hearing weird noises. They keep saying, 'Don't tell Dad.'"
Why did that just show twice? Ah, that's why. Yeah, well, like I said, I really do need to make more of an effort to be here, and I did say that I'd be here about, 4 hours ago. Unfortunately, I fell asleep. So, sorry, people, you do mean a lot to me, but when the dogs are barking and the eyes are full, and the shades are shutting on the eyes, I can only do so much. I'm doing my absolute best, okay? She used the where are we? That is supported by the fact that within 30 to 40 minutes after the incident, the child immediately was rendered totally unconscious, and the medical evidence is that it is not a symptom of any known condition that the child is suffering from. The court heard at one point the woman allegedly moved the camera in an attempt to evade detection. Following the incident and subsequent police investigation, the court heard that the drug was allegedly found in the child's system. as well as other non-prescribed drugs which were later found in the woman's home. Mr. Scott told the court the woman allegedly told investigators a bald-faced lie that she had not filled the prescriptions, which was captured on CCTV doing. There's records of filling scripts like that. Why would you lie to the cops about that? There is really no valid explanation as to why the woman would not once, not twice, but 3 times attend a pharmacy to fill out a script for a medication she knows is no longer used for the child, and which she knows causes the child harm. The court heard the woman's former partner also told police she allegedly made admissions to him about what she'd done to their child. Mr. Scott told the court that the 34-year-old was still a risk to her daughter, as she had recently told a psychologist she was diagnosed with a fatal condition and was gravely ill. What's the name? Was it Munchausen's, or what's the name of the disorder where you keep someone like? I feel like this woman would have grown up. I feel like in like 10 years or so, this poor kid would have been in a misery situation with like hammer injuries to legs, or just like. Her actions have created a serious extra symptom, on one occasion suffering a code blue cardiac arrest requiring resuscitation. That poor sweet child. Munchausen by proxy. Okay, so I wasn't too far off. Thank you. Hello, Trevor. Billy, good to see you. It then required the child to have surgeries that the child would have otherwise had to have at a later point in time. Defense lawyer Matthew Koskelly told the court that his client should be granted bail as much of the case against her was circumstantial. Mr. Koskelly told the court that she had no criminal history and was not a risk of failing to appear or interfering with witnesses. Yeah, but if she's a threat to interfere with the victim... He submitted that she could have contact with the child by video only if released. Deputy Chief Magistrate Stephen Courtney told the court the prosecution's case was strong, even on the circumstantial evidence, but the intent would be an issue for trial. Earlier in the proceeding, he told the legal parties that he would not make a ruling on bail today, as there was a real level of complexity to the matter. I'm glad he's taking his actual time working out what's appropriate and what is not, because there are a number of bleeding hearts in the judiciary at the moment that would have given her bail straight off the bat and just said, just don't have contact with the kid. And then, 2 weeks down the track, we'd find out that she'd abused a cat or something in order to get views on social media. Ordinarily, bail applications are fairly straightforward. This isn't that, he said. He will hand down a decision tomorrow. When was this? This was Tuesday. So theoretically, there should be a follow-up on this. Anyway, I'll see if I can find an update on that one anyway. Moving on. Perth girl at the centre of the starvation trial attends court to support her parents. The girl at the centre of a sensational trial over her neglect has attended a Perth court in support of her parents, writing a statement saying she does not believe she was offended against in any way. In November, a wealthy Floriat couple were found guilty of reckless conduct in relation to their daughter. That conduct included allowing the girl to become dangerously underweight, requiring her to be hospitalised and placed on a nasogastric feeding tube. The bizarre case garnered much attention when the parents, both aged 47, pled not guilty to the charges, and the matter went to trial last year. During the 5-week hearing, the court heard that the pair lied to a dance school instructor about the girl's age, how she was dressed and treated as a preschool child despite being 16 years, how she was homeschooled and isolated from other people, and how her gaunt appearance and yellowish skin caused much concern for the few people that did come into contact with her. On Thursday, the pair, who have been remanded into custody since the jury found them both guilty on all charges, were due to be sentenced in the Perth District Court, but legal submissions in advance of the hearing ran over time, delaying the outcome until Friday. The court was told that the couple's daughter had submitted a statement to be considered by Judge Linda Black, and the girl herself attended the hearing in person for the first time. She made a brief appearance at the court during the trial as she was called to give evidence but reneged after a panic attack. Child's been so messed up by the parents. Yes. YouTube's acting up. What did I miss? Oh, spinning wheel of death. Oh, stuff you, YouTube. Where was I? Much was made at the time about her tiny stature and immature outfit, but on Thursday the girl was dressed in skinny jeans and a shirt and stood smiling with her hair loose, waiting to enter the courtroom. Partway through the legal submissions, however, lawyers for both sides were discussing the elements of the offending that they believe should be considered in sentencing. The girl tearfully fled the courtroom. Black later reprimanded the media for chasing the girl up the street with cameras trying to take her photo. Holy shit. That's a photo of a 14-year-old. Damn. That is a malnourished kid. The girl also complained about media coverage of the case in her statement to the court, claiming she formerly lived a quiet life like everyone else, but now the case will haunt her forever. Sweetheart, your parents did that, not the media, just saying. G'day, Winks. She also told the court she blamed herself for the charges being brought against her parents, stating that what she ate was her choice. But Black told the parents' lawyers that while she would take the girl's letter into consideration when handing down sentence on Friday, she would also be considering the possibility that the girl was unable to understand that she'd been offended against due to her isolated childhood. The jury's verdict meant that the girl had been infantilized and had been constrained in her appropriate social development, and in those circumstances, the evidence from the trial means that I must have regard to that when I consider her capacity to grasp what has happened to her in her early years. God, how she was hospitalized after the Department of Communities investigated concerns from the dance studio. Now, don't get me wrong. A dance studio is known for, wanting girls to be thin and like svelte and whatever else so that they can appear in productions and that sort of thing. If they're the ones raising concerns about someone being dangerously underweight, it must have been pretty bad. She needs a buffet. Lawyer Oliver Paxman argued the girl was capable of understanding the situation as she'd now been granted power of attorney over her parents' estate while they were in prison and she was still teaching piano. Wait, what? How old is she now? Hang on. Okay, she was 16 at the time, so maybe she's already 18 now. I was thinking, hang on. Having ordered power of attorney over her estate, she's got to be at least 18. Full details of the statement were not aired in court, but Winter submitted a letter that she had received from the girl last year in which she asked for the charges against her parents to be dropped. It's quite clear from the letters that she does not believe she's been offended against in any way, Winter said. She does not blame her parents at all. She said she is not the victim of her parents. Excuse me. It was also revealed on Thursday that both parents have been evaluated by a psychologist in the lead up to being sentenced. The court was told that Dr. Philip Watts had diagnosed the girl's mother with obsessive-compulsive disorder and confirmed that the father's former diagnosis of OCD, which their lawyers argued is what had led them to neglecting their daughter. When asked how OCD would impact the father's ability to take the daughter to seek medical help in the face of pressure from multiple outside sources, he said, "Germs. You've got to be freaking kidding me." She needs to make a wish from Lizzo. Damn. If she's 16, she has progeria, looks like. Well, the trouble is, I don't know. I mean, the court case probably took a couple of years. If she was 16 at the time, she's more than likely over 18 now. Let people with victims suffering from Stockholm Syndrome go, is pretty much what they're arguing. Paxman told the court that the OCD impacted the father's judgment because of his structured and rigid lifestyle and the anxiety that comes with that. I don't understand that. I don't understand how OCD makes you disinclined to listen to medical advice, Black said. People interfering with his routine that caused him a great deal of anxiety. I don't see I don't see that an OCD person that has a mental condition that impairs their ability to listen to sound advice from others, she later responded. The mother's lawyer also tried to persuade Black that the client's long-term and severe OCD was the reason for her offending. He read from Dr. Watts' psychological report stating the woman's mental illness, whilst present from mid-primary school through to adult life, had a direct impact on the way that she parented her daughter. Excuse me a second. That's better. Black asked why, if she'd suffered with the condition for so long, she'd not sought treatment sooner, and questioned the validity of the diagnosis given the psychological report was based on self-reporting by the woman and no formal testing. Because, you can Dr. Google and self-diagnose anything you like these days. And then having someone... Wait, they had a psychologist evaluate her on self-diagnosed OCD. Yeah, no. At the moment, I have doubts about the severity of the OCD, such that it would causatively, my brain's not firing on all cylinders, we know this, connected to the offending that will reduce her moral culpability. Her lawyer, Michael Perella, also told the court the mother had struggled with being in prison and had self-harmed. The pair will be sentenced on Friday. When was that? No, that's the one from November. Do we have the sentencing? Doesn't look like it. Your brain's not working yet today. That's perfectly fair. Hello, Mexican beta. At least you didn't have a coke habit. Well, there is that. Why are all the news articles about kids today? I'm actually quite happy about this one, though. For those of you that don't remember, I was following the Elizabeth Strews case. The religious family decided to pray over the little girl instead of giving her medicine in order to survive. She later passed away, and the court has officially found them guilty. 14 members of an Australian religious group have been convicted of killing an 8-year-old diabetic girl who was denied insulin for almost a week. Elizabeth Strews died in her home in 2022 from diabetic ketoacidosis, which causes a dangerous buildup of ketones, a type of acid, and blood sugar spikes. The court heard that Elizabeth's treatment was withheld because the group known as the Saints opposed medical care, believing God would heal her. Her father, Jason Strews, and the group's leader, Brendan Stevens, were on trial for murder, but convicted of the lesser charge of manslaughter. 12 other members, including Elizabeth's mother and brother, were also convicted of manslaughter. All had pled not guilty. We're handing down his almost 500-page verdict on Wednesday. I had planned on going through it, but like they said, it's 500 pages. I'm happy just knowing that they were found guilty of manslaughter, honestly. Justice Martin Burns said that although it was clear that Elizabeth's parents and every member of the church, including all the other accused, had adored her, their actions had resulted in her death. It cannot be doubted that Elizabeth was lovingly cared for in almost every way, he said. Well, I mean, every other way aside from looking after her medically. It's a weird way of putting it, Your Honour, but anyway. However, due to a singular belief in the healing power of God, she was deprived of the one thing that would most definitely have kept her alive. The Saints are not affiliated with an established church in Australia and have roughly 24 members from 3 families. The judge-alone trial in the Supreme Court of Queensland began in July last year and lasted several months. Prosecutors called 60 witnesses and painted a picture of an intelligent child who suffered greatly in her final days. She was described as speaking little, needing help to go to the toilet, and being incontinent, said prosecutor Carolyn Marco, adding that the girl would have endured vomiting, extreme lethargy, and a loss of consciousness. The congregation, meanwhile, had prayed and sung for Elizabeth, whose health deteriorated as she lay on a mattress in her home in Toowoomba, about 125 kilometres, or 78 miles, west of Brisbane. I love how pissy the jury look. Like, I'm just looking at that and, like, they just look pissy. Missed the worst of the case now. Almost. Feed the 500 pages into ChatGPT and ask it to summarize it. That could be bad. No effort was made to call a doctor, and authorities were not notified until 36 hours after her death, as the group believed she could be brought back to life. Hey, we've all seen the clip of the guy with necromancy, okay? We know it doesn't work. The 14 defendants... Hey, Flux! The 14 defendants, aged between 22 and 67, represented themselves at trial, having all refused legal representation or to enter pleas. The court was required to enter not guilty pleas on their behalf. Most have been charged because they either had counselled or aided her father in the decision to withhold the insulin, the court heard. Prosecutors said that Jason Strews, 53, had converted to the church much later than his wife Kerry Strews, 49, and that he had previously supported giving her medicine. They argued he changed his mind after being baptised into the group, and that ultimately he knew the decision would end his daughter's life. Excuse me. Speaking through tears when it was his turn to take the stand at trial, Jason Strews said that he and Elizabeth had agreed to stop the insulin together, and he still believed his daughter would be resurrected. Elizabeth is only sleeping, and I will see her again, he told the court. Stevens, 63, defended the group's actions as faith-based and described the trial as an act of religious persecution. No. Bad. Where's the rolled-up newspaper? I need something to smack him on the nose with. Someone's actions resulted in someone's death. Whatever the motivation, be they religious, be they corporate, be they whatever else. It resulted in someone's death. It's not religious persecution to go after someone for their actions causing a little girl to die. He said that the group was within its rights to believe in the word of God completely, and that the decision to not enter pleas was because the congregation had no intention of fighting the case by using law. Elizabeth's sister Jade Strews told at the trial that she had left the Saints and fled her family home at 16 after coming out as gay and was now estranged from them. She and other witnesses described the congregation as having increasingly strict views, including that mainstream healthcare should be shunned and that both Christmas and Easter were pagan or ungodly festivals. Wait, what? I'm sorry, that one just took the two major Christian holidays are ungodly and pagan. That sort of threw me for the loop there. The court also heard that Elizabeth's life had been in danger in 2019 when she was admitted to hospital in a diabetic coma, weighing just 15 kilos after having become too weak to walk. She was then diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and her family was told she would need daily insulin injections. Both parents were charged over that incident. However, Jason testified against his wife and received a more lenient sentence. At the time, he said his wife, who had been a member of the Saints for years, did not believe in providing their kids with medical treatment for religious reasons. He also openly expressed regret for having let his daughter down. Well done. You well and truly let your daughter down this time, didn't you? The court heard he later helped provide her with insulin for a period while his wife was in jail, but that he then faced pressure from other members of the religious group to stop doing so. Giving his verdict, Justice Burns said that Jason Strews and Stevens could not be convicted of murder because prosecutors had not proved beyond a reasonable doubt that they had intended to kill her or cause grievous bodily harm to Elizabeth. And that is true. It's a very tenuous line. I would argue that their intention to deprive her of medical treatment was intentional, and therefore there should be a flow-on effect for the chain of causality into murder. But they couldn't prove that it was directly intended to kill her, and therefore is not homicide, but is manslaughter, because they were reckless as to the nature. All 14 defendants were found guilty of manslaughter, he ruled, because they were jointly involved in a crime that resulted in her death. Jade Strews said that while she was pleased with the verdict, the system had failed her sister. We're only here today because more wasn't done to protect her or remove her from an incredibly unsafe situation in her own home, she said in a statement outside the court. The group is expected to be sentenced next month. Toowoomba has long had a colourful array of sectarian Christian groups and independent churches of various kinds, says Bernard Doherty, who studies new religious movements. The Saints appear to be one of those small independent churches which form around a few families, he told the BBC, adding that little is known about the close-knit congregation. Jade Strews said that the Saints had attended the Revival Centres International Church in Brisbane, but they broke away after Stevens failed to become a pastor there. Pretty sure she passed in 22. From memory. I'll go back up and have a look. She said that they then formed their own parish and held sermons at his house multiple times a week. Yeah, I want to say, yeah, 2022 from ketoacidosis. That's a rough way for her to go too. Oh, what's this? Children as young as 10 will face adult jail time in Australian state. I'm assuming that's in Queensland. Oh, no. Yes, Queensland. Queensland passed the laws which will see people as young as 10. Anyway. Did I cover the pilot of the helicopter? No, just because as far as I'm aware, that hasn't been verified yet, and the last thing I need is getting YouTube yeeted because of that. Find it ironic how most demonic possessions throughout history can be explained by today's mental illnesses like schizophrenia. Fair. She's not wrong, there were pagan festivals. As a man of faith, this is the kind of crap that makes us look bad, irritates the heck out of me. I would hope so. Hey, Brian. The law's already failed. Okay. It's murder, serious assault, and break-in, so it's violent crimes. So. WA police officers found not to have performed duty ahead of Perth double murder. Oh god, I'm not gonna. I hate it when they do these kinds of articles. I'm not doing that. Never mind. All right, let's have a look at the Massachusetts v. McGee trial. Now, as I said at the opening of this, I thought Bev was going to be done with cases after Karen Reid. Turns out she's taking a couple extra ones under her belt, and I was more than a little concerned to hear this. Is it just me, or did you have an automatic gain turned on? Can hear the mic picking up random noises? Really? Can't see anything being picked up. I mean, I haven't changed any settings. Parents of the kid that requiring jail should be put in jail too. I'm not disagreeing with that. I think that there should definitely be consequences. So, anyway, let's have a look at these opening statements, and while we're doing that, I'll have a look at other things that I missed this week.
On January 28th of 2020, 5 years ago today, the Savitz family lost a beloved brother and father, Andrew Savitz. Throughout the course of this trial, you are going to hear that Mr. Savitz passed away after an altercation with his ex-wife, the defendant before you today, Penelope McGee. You are going to hear throughout this trial that Mr. Savitz was in quite ill health, having suffered a stroke, been in 2 car accidents, he had diabetes, and was experiencing memory loss and trouble with his peripheral vision. But most notably, Your Honor, Mr. Savitz suffered from severe cardiovascular disease, including a 90% stenosis of the right coronary artery. You will learn about Mr. Savitz's, through his brother John, or about Mr. Savitz's medical condition, through his brother John Savitz, 4 sets of medical records that Your Honor will have a chance to review, including Beth Israel records from the auto accident, the Jocelyn Diabetes Center, his treatment at Mass Ioneer and the Newton Wellesley Hospital, as well as you will hear about his condition from the medical examiner that performed the autopsy, Dr. Rebecca Diedrich. You will also hear from Andrew Savitz's brother, John Savitz, that Ms. McGee was aware of all of these conditions and the ill health of Mr. Andrew Savitz on the date of this incident. You will see emails and text messages to John Savitz from Penelope McGee updating him on Andy's various conditions, medical conditions, medications, and medical appointments. You will also hear that Ms. McGee was the healthcare proxy to Mr. Andrew Savitz. Then you're going to hear from Andrew Savitz's daughter, Zuzi Savitz. She's going to tell you what she saw happen that night on January 28th of 2020. Zuzi heard her mother come over to the home at 40 Meadowbrook Road in Brookline, where she was living with her father and her younger brother, Harry. Zuzi Savitz heard her parents arguing that night when her mother came to the house. And she could hear yelling and screaming. And when she went downstairs, she could see that her parents were in an argument. She heard something break, which we later found out, the court will find out, was a ceramic bowl. You'll see pictures of that broken bowl. But Zuzi's going to tell you she heard something break, and she went back upstairs to get her phone to call 911. She's going to tell you that she got her phone from her bedroom, called 911, and as she was coming down the stairs, she could see her parents in the hallway by the end of the stairs at the house towards the front door, and she saw her mother hitting and shoving her father against a wall where there was a sliding closet, and you're going to hear the 911 call, Your Honor. You're going to hear Zuzi telling her parents to stop. And then in the middle of that phone call, Zuzi's going to tell you she heard she saw her father collapse to the ground, and Ms. McGee started trying to give him CPR. Zuzi was calling the ambulance to come quickly. The paramedics arrived. The Brookline police arrived. You're going to hear from the paramedic. You're going to hear from the responding officer from the Brookline police, all of whom tried to administer CPR and tried to resuscitate Mr. Savitz. Mr. Savitz was brought to the Beth Israel Hospital, where you're going to hear from the emergency room doctor that also treated him and tried to revive him, and ultimately pronounced him deceased at 12:14 a.m. In the early morning hours of January 29th of 2020. Lastly, Your Honor, you are going to hear from the medical examiner, Dr. Rebecca Diedrich.
Holy crap, lastly? Are you serious? She spent 5 minutes on openings. Well, 4 minutes. And this, you're right, this is terrible. Yikes. You're supposed to lay everything out. You're supposed to lay down why they did what was wrong, what the cause of action is, how it was. What are you doing?
Diedrich is going to explain to you how Mr. Savitz's conditions prevented his heart from handling the fight or flight response that was happening during the altercation with Ms. McGee. Dr. Diedrich going to tell you her opinion as to what the official cause of death was of Mr. Andrew Savitz. She's going to explain that her opinion is that he suffered from cardiac dysrhythmia following an altercation in a person with hypertensive and atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease and diabetes mellitus. Andrew Savitz was in ill health. His diabetes and cardiovascular disease was severe, and Penelope McGee knew it. Despite Mr. Savitz's condition, Ms. McGee went over to his house on the night of January 28, 2020. She was yelling and screaming, hitting and shoving him. His heart couldn't handle the stress of the altercation, and he collapsed and passed away. After you hear all of this evidence, Your Honor, I am confident that you will find Penelope McGee guilty as charged.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that was the state's open.
Seriously. Did anyone catch exactly how she intends to prove that he, is she relying solely on the and YouTube died. Sorry, the back end sort of died and I lost chat, so it was a little confusing. That was more than a little confusing. All right, let's hope that the defense is at least a little bit more coherent.
In a couple of minutes, we're going to hit our break. When we come back, we'll go back in together live. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. Let's go back into the courtroom in Massachusetts. Judge Mann's defense.
Ms. McGee was married to the deceased
for approximately 15 years, and they divorced about 6 years before this incident. But nonetheless, the evidence will show that they continued to work together to raise 3 children, get their children into college. They talked frequently, almost daily sometimes. At some point, Ms. McGee moved into a home that was owned by the brother-in-laws of the deceased. It was in Brookline. It was close by. It was close by the Meadowbrook home where Mr. Savitz also resided. She lived there in Randolph with her 3 children. At some point, the brother-in-laws chose to evict her. They did so. That eviction was formalized on January 3rd, 2020. During that same time, in the days leading up to January 3rd, you'll hear evidence that both Mr. Savitz and Ms. McGee worked continually together as they sought to get their daughter Susie in college. They talked frequently. She ran errands for him, he ran errands for her. At that time, January 3rd of 2020, he was working, he was traveling, he was enjoying his life. One of his things he liked to do was gambling. He did that. He was functioning. He also texted, and the evidence will show that he invited Miss McGee to reside at Meadowbrook while she looked for other housing. But there was an issue. The evidence will show that there was a significant issue of the relationship that had deteriorated between Miss McGee and her daughter. So there was an arrangement made. She could not appear at Meadowbrook unless her daughter was up in her room and in bed, maybe studying. And they both abided by it. Backing up a little bit, you'll hear that around August 18th of 2019, Mr. Savitz told his ex-wife he'd been in a car accident, a serious one. The car was totaled. He went to the hospital. Medical records that we introduced into evidence will show that he didn't listen to medical advice. And in fact, in the words of the hospital records, he eloped. He left. Miss McGee found out about it, talked to her ex-husband, got him an immediate appointment at his personal care physician, Dr. Mann. Got him to see Dr. Mann within a day. Dr. Mann said, I think he has some problems or words of that effect that are contained in the medical records, and recommended that Mr. Savitz go to the emergency room because of cognitive issues and a question of whether he'd suffer a stroke. They did that. Who did that? Miss McGee. She took him immediately to the emergency room.
Hello there.
Any question about whether Miss McGee knew about certain medical conditions of Mr. Savitz is somewhat beside the point, because the evidence will show that she cared for him.
AP said could only handle 15 years of his will to live being drained from him. Then she returned to perform the Dementor's kiss.
Well, look, I've yet to hear any real, like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with YouTube. Quite literally, I'm getting some of the best performance of my life on my end, so I don't know what's going on with their servers.
For days and weeks following the car accident and the diagnosis of stroke. She moves in. She's allowed to stay in Middlebrook. She's allowed to stay in her older son's bedroom upstairs with that condition that the evidence will show. Her older son, Noah, had now left home to go to college at Drexel in Pennsylvania. On January 20th, Mr. Savitz was in yet another car accident, this time while he was driving their younger son, Harry. He reported it to his brother-in-laws, and the evidence will show that Miss McGee was worried about that, concerned about that. Notwithstanding that they totaled in the accident, Mr. Savitz totaled his son Noah's car, but the fact that Harry was in the car, the younger son. And so she had a discussion, and there will be evidence about that. Importantly, though, the evidence will show that with regards to the causation and manner of death, as the Commonwealth just told the court it expects to introduce, the relevant literature says that the physiological issue that Dr. Diedrich will testify to can occur as a result of motor vehicle accidents. Because it's the way the body responds.
VADDAZZER said for Starlink.
Thank you, Daz. I appreciate that. Is this guy trying to suggest that there was a car at the top of the stairs when they had the altercation? Or is he just, I get it, he's trying to establish the causation that there's other things that may have caused him to have a heart attack or whatever else, or... Yikes. This would be a rough trial to watch. Honestly, I was just waiting to see whether or not there was anything going on with Bev, but...
hormonally to the stress associated with such an event. So there is a car accident, a serious one in August, where a car is totaled.
Honestly, MG, I wouldn't stress. I've still been trying to stream every day, even if I'm getting between like 70 and 100 viewers watching the streams, and I'm still down 20, 30 odd, so just keep pushing, dude. We'll get there. Any balloon not talking this trial? God, I hope not.
But there is no heart attack. There is no cardiac arrest. There's a second motor vehicle accident on January 20th. There is no cardiac event. Why is that important? Because when you look at the hundreds, if not thousands of pages of records that are already introduced, or we agreed to introduce them in total, you won't see one reference in hundreds of pages of any complaints about chest pain, fibrillation, any diagnosis of cardiac issues other than high blood pressure, sometimes referred to as hypertension. That's it. No medication, no complaints from Mr. Savitz about anything wrong with his heart other than the high blood pressure. Why is all this important? Because the evidence will show that Miss McGee cared for Mr. Savitz and got him back into good health, and then interacted with him as if he was in good health. And she took pains to make sure he was in good health. And so it contradicts what the evidence the Commonwealth presumes to admit and presumes to state, that she conducted herself that night on January 28th of 2020 with a disregard for the likelihood that her conduct would result in substantial harm. What happened that night? Text messages show that about 7:30 on January 28th, there was a communication between Mr. Savitz and Miss McGee. He said, I'm paraphrasing now, but the evidence will show that he said, I expect you to come over. Would you take your shoes off when you climb up the stairs? And that was all part of that arrangement, where Miss McGee could stay up in Noah's room as long as Susie was not, the daughter, was not in her room. Because there was this friction. And also during the day, the text messages will show that Mr. Savitz made some very upsetting and disparaging remarks to Miss McGee as he rehashed the eviction. And it upset her. But it was just more of the same, and they worked through this before, as the text messages showed. And so she drove over there, parked her car, went in to see if Susie was upstairs before she could go inside, and she was upstairs. The evidence will show that Mr. Savitz then asked Miss McGee, sit down on the living room couch, watch TV. They started to do that. They had some conversations about some behavioral issues with Susie. And that's when Mr. Savitz began to become upset. The evidence will show that then the conversation turned to this text where Mr. Savitz had somewhat ridiculed Miss McGee about the eviction from Randolph Street. And that is when he told Miss McGee to get out of the house. And he raised his voice. And he demanded that she leave. And Miss McGee got up from the living room couch, was headed to her coat, it was laid over the back of the couch back. And before she could reach it, Mr. Savage grabbed her at some point on her body and pushed her into the living room wall that you'll see in so many of the photographs. Then what ensued after that was a yelling match where Mr. Savage demanded she leave and began to push her into the kitchen area, pushed her against some tables that contained, as the photograph showed, any number of dishes. And one such dish fell over and apparently smashed onto the floor. And he continued to push her, and he continued to grab her. And the path that he was making was a path directly to the front door. And now he was grabbing her hair. And he pushed her against the refrigerator. He pushed her into the area of the stove. All of which, as he was pushing her toward the front door. And now he had a hold of her body, he had a hold of her hair, and he was simply trying to get her out of the house, and she was moving backwards, not understanding what was happening. All of this happening in a short period of time, with yelling and chaos. And as she tried to defend herself, and only defend herself, Mr. Savitz collapsed. Where does he collapse? He collapsed right near the front door. The front door that he was pushing, fighting Miss McGee. He collapsed. He fell to the ground. What did Miss McGee do? The evidence will show part of it coming from the 911 call made by her daughter.
Oh boy, so he's saying this is a self-defense case, that she was defending herself. Oh boy, more to come in the defense opening statement here. We're going to hit a break. We'll be right back live after this.
I gotta admit, I hate it. I hate the court TV does that. Like, I get that they have to have their own ad revenue and they have to have ads inserted and that sort of thing. Maybe don't do it during opening statements, even if they are slightly boring.
Grieving widow or mastermind behind a murder.
Monica Cimentelli is accused. Prosecutor
Defendant. Stylist.
And they left the damn ads in.
Back to court we go in Slaughter.
And as a result of that, the allegations against that particular person charged with.
See, the annoying thing is this dude looks like the guy that plays Alfred in the Batman movies, but he doesn't sound like him, so it's not working for me. And I think that's throwing me a little bit.
The death of Ashton Trooper was, in the parlance of legal terms, no cause. They ended the prosecution. This is the same medical examiner that made her conclusions in this case. The evidence will show that the relevant literature that tried to address this so-called phenomena referred to as homicide by heart attack, that starting in 1978 required strict criteria to be applied by medical examiners in trying to reach the same conclusion that Dr. Diedrich reached. And then there is a 2002 guide for medical examiners that the evidence will show that is the only thing that Dr. Diedrich apparently relied on, that tells medical examiners really nothing at all. And then you'll hear evidence that the relevant literature, published 2 years later, in 2004, authored by Dr. Turner, revisits the strict criteria to be applied in these so-called homicide by heart attack cases where there is a physical touching. And one of their criteria is to determine the intent of the actor.
Thank you. That was going to annoy the hell out of me. Jeremy Irons.
What the actor did to cause the harm was criminal. That's what the evidence will show. And yet, the evidence will show that this case is about self-defense, being attacked. The relevant literature will also talk about the stress reaction occurring, as I stated a minute ago, motor vehicle accidents, but also anger on behalf of the deceased in situations. Anger triggers the same physiological response that Dr. Diedrich talks about, that she rests on finding her opinion and making a homicide finding. Respectfully, Judge, we believe that once you consider all of the evidence and all the testimony, that based on the science, and based on the lack of reliable assessments made by Dr. Diedrich, you will find Ms. McGee not guilty. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest, Rich. I mean, how the hell the state's even going to try and prove it, I don't know. But the simple fact of the matter is that probably not going to be following that trial anyway. I purely wanted to watch that because it was Bev, and my understanding was she was supposed to be no longer doing cases. But hey, here we are. Oh, don't worry. We got plenty of palate cleansers after that, because I'm going to move on to some funnier news stories. After we cover this one. Mercer man stabs child, says FBI told him to kill his family, according to records. A Hopewell man who has been charged with attempted homicide told police that the FBI asked him to kill his family, according to the complaint warrant. The man was arrested after he attacked a juvenile family member at around 3:49 a.m. on January 19. Hopewell police responded to a home in Pleasant Valley Road after receiving a call regarding a disturbance outside a neighbour's house. Shortly after, police received another call from inside the house in question. The caller told authorities that Matthew Bonacci, 47, was attempting to harm the family. The woman told officers that she and her 2 minor children were locked in the master bedroom and that he was still outside the house, the complaint said. She also said that her daughter suffered injuries from her left wrist and neck, causing excessive blood loss. Holy shit. When officers arrived on the scene, they found Bonici outside the house trying to hide within the wood line of the property. He was covered in blood, according to the complaint. As officers asked him to exit the wood line and put his hands up, he collapsed and was placed under arrest. According to the documents, officers found lacerations on both wrists and forearms, as well as a laceration on his neck, which caused heavy blood loss. Sounds like he tried to take himself out. Holy shit. While being handcuffed, he told police that the FBI had asked him to kill his family and that there was a note in his pocket to give to the FBI and the news, according to the complaint. He also told police that someone was after him for his cryptocurrency. Well, now we know the guy's insane. During this time, officers entered the house to tend to the girl. They found a large amount of blood throughout the house, going through the dining room, living room, kitchen, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and throughout the hallway. Holy crap. How did she still... Well, I suppose he was bleeding too, so... That's still a lot of blood to go through a house. The girl had a towel around her neck and wrists with direct pressure applied in both areas as they waited for the arrival of EMS, according to the complaint. Eventually, EMS arrived and took over. The girl suffered excessive blood loss and a laceration of the left side of her neck and wrist. Benicia and the girl were taken to hospital to have emergency surgeries. Doctors had to surgically repair the minor's damaged ligaments and arteries within the wrist. According to the documents, the woman told police she was woken by her daughter screaming at around 3:30 a.m. When she entered the bedroom where her daughter was sleeping, she found him standing over her daughter with a knife. The woman's entrance in the room interrupted him in the act. He was charged with criminal attempted homicide, aggravated assault, unlawful possession of a deadly weapon, possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose, and endangering the welfare of a child. I get why they're overcharging, but that does sound like overkill. Unlawful possession of a deadly weapon and then possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose. I get that they're separate acts. Don't think that they necessarily both had to be charged in this instance because there is overlap there. Hopefully the guy's going to fry, though. I'm assuming that he is well and truly... But that poor little girl is going to have that in her memory for the rest of her life. That is insane. Okay, let's move on to some more like lighthearted stuff, shall we? Woman in court for aggressively farting at her ex. Sorry. Woman in court for aggressively farting at her boyfriend's ex, I should say. A judge has let rip at a woman who admitted to sending videos of her breaking wind to her boyfriend's ex. Rhiannon Evans, 25, is believed to be the first person ever to face charges for cyber farting over Christmas. She sent the videos to Deborah Prythrich, who said the videos caused her distress and anxiety. It was a straight-faced prosecutor, Diane Williams' job to describe how Evans proceeds to pass gas by placing the camera on her bottom and passing the gas. She sent 3 videos on December 22 and another 4 over the next few days, including on Boxing Day and New Year's Day. Holy crap, how did this woman manage that? Is an aggressive farter shot? I'm curious as to whether or not it's the pitch or the tone or... Each of them showed Miss Evans passing wind, her face smiling at the camera. Police got wind of what happened and they followed through by arresting her and hauling her before the courts in... Caernarfon? The reason she gave for her oh my god, fuck it. The reason she gave was that she felt her partner was being treated unfairly. Harriet Gore said, defending that there is some issues going on between Miss Evans' partner and his ex-partner with regard to child contact. So there's a child custody dispute and you decide to act like a kid. That tracks. At the time she sent the videos, she had some drinks and she sent them understanding now this has caused the victim some distress. She sent them without malicious intent. Good luck proving that there's no malicious intent in sending someone a video of your ass. I fart in your general direction. It was premeditated. She eaten deviled eggs. Ugh. Mrs. Williams added, it was purely malicious. She was smirking throughout and found it hilarious, but the victim didn't. Evans's velocity ended up costing her nearly £300, including a £100 compensation for the victim and $199 in court costs. In a victim statement to the court, Miss Prythrich said that she would like to feel safe in her own home. I'll give you a hint, lady. If you're worried about feeling safe from fart videos in your own home, don't open the messages. Pretty freaking straightforward there, actually. Like, there is a distinct ability for mitigation for damage there. Just don't open the message. Evans will also have to carry out 15 rehabilitation sessions for her sphincter whistles and must abstain from alcohol for 2 months. She was given a 2-year restraining order preventing her from contacting the victim. This, to me, is just a waste of court time and resources, but at least it's funny for us. If she sent me these vids, I'd be rolling in the floor laughing.
Stingy said we'll find out. Check DMS shortly over next days.
Thank you for letting me know I don't need to open the messages. Appreciate it. Why is the court wasting their time with cyber farting? I have no idea. Could be deemed... Oh, see, why would you ruin it like that? You could have just said assassination attempt, not assassination attempt. That's stupid. So this was cyber. Over a couple of years ago, a man was arrested in the US for passing gas for real in front of a cop. The charge was creating contact of an insulting or provoking nature. Her tooting continued on Boxing Day and New Year's Day despite police getting wind of what had happened. Classy. How did I get wind of this story? This one originally was passed on to me on X, I believe, so... She just looks classy too, doesn't she? All right. Man reportedly clocked doing 130 miles an hour on the I-395 says he wanted to get home to his cat. Oh, come on. Really? Great, now I'm going to get daily newsletters so that I can make you guys laugh. She's obviously got some talent. You sent it to me, it's going online. It's your fault for sending them. Exactly. A man who reportedly told state police he was driving over 130 miles an hour on the interstate in Norwich on Sunday said he did so because he wanted to get home to his cat, and he is facing DUI and reckless driving charges. A trooper from Troop E in Montville was conducting speed enforcement on I-395 South before exit 11 at around 12:48 a.m. on Sunday when he observed a vehicle later identified as a Kia. Oh my God, it was a Kia. Allegedly traveling at an extremely high rate of speed. The trooper reportedly clocked the vehicle speed by speedometer at over 130 miles an hour. The trooper attempted to catch up with the vehicle to initiate a traffic stop. Once behind the Kia, the trooper activated their emergency lights and sirens. According to state police, the driver complied and pulled over on the right shoulder. Once stopped, he made contact with the driver, identified as a 28-year-old Logan Mozarifi of Norwich. When the trooper asked him why he was driving so fast, reportedly he said he wanted to get home to see his cat. I would have believed you more if you said you had some really nice pussy at home. I'm half thinking that this might be what the guy intended to say. How was he going? He was going how fast in a Kia? Exactly, 130 miles an hour plus in a Kia sedan. I'm surprised the thing didn't shake apart. While speaking with him, the trooper alleged that they observed signs of impairment, including the smell of alcohol, glossy eyes, and slurred speech. He agreed to submit to standard field sobriety testing, which he reportedly failed. I'm shocked. Yeah, are we talking about an actual cat? That's my question. He was arrested and transported to Troop E, where he was charged with illegal operation of a motor vehicle under the influence and reckless driving. He was later released on a $500 bond and is scheduled to appear on February 6. A Kia ad just popped up. That's funny. Okay. Robot dog battles drone in fireworks fight, sparking future warfare concerns. Future warfare concerns. Wolf versus air concerns. Wait. I am out of practice because I am a retard. Where is my... Aww. Did I get rid of it? Shit, I must have taken it off the board. Forgot that was there. Anyway. A robotic dog fighting an aerial drone is the future of warfare that one would expect in science fiction, but a video depicting the real-life scene has gone viral on social media sites in China and brought up discussions about the future where machines engage in warfare and what it would ultimately look like for the victor. Fighting with drones has gone from futuristic to common theme in warfare. At the turn of the century, the US flew its first drones with wings as wide as 66 feet and cruising altitudes of 50,000 feet, but it costs millions of dollars to build one. In just over two decades, drones have become smaller, nimble, and so inexpensive to produce that they have become dispensable. Last month, the Ukraine Defense Ministry confirmed that its armed forces used more than 1.2 million drones in 2024. Let's just go to the tape, shall we? The additional fireworks on the ground. So this is they had some fun. Oh, I'm sorry, Norwich. Why does it keep doing that? From the imagery available, it appears that both the drone and the robotic dog used in the demonstrations are not military built at all. The drone is likely from DJI. Oh, no shit. While the robotic dog is from Unitree. Both manufacturers are based in China and strongly maintain that the technology is for civilian use only. Well, clearly it can be weaponized. Godzilla versus Rodan. Last year, they categorically suspended its operations in Russia and the Ukraine since the technology was being used for military applications. No shit. Chinese military has also showcased two versions of the robotic dogs built by Unitree in joint military exercises with Cambodia last year. This signals China's real intent to use drones for military purposes in the near future. This is unsurprising given that the technology is as benign as Microsoft's HoloLens. Technology is as benign as HoloLens has found a military application. Drones and robot dogs have far greater utility in the battlefield, and it's only a matter of time before we see them deployed more frequently. China is priming itself to become a main supplier of these units. The question is, how will the US respond? Yes, any weapon can be, any object can be weaponized, and all I'm saying is that the US is going to have to get, actually no, Western countries are going to have to start building their own, because you know that if we buy them from, countries overseas, surely they're going to be smart enough to build in a backdoor remote control. Like, anyway. Port Arthur man under investigation after viral TikTok video of him using a baby to clean snow off his car. Now, when I saw this, I thought it was perfectly harmless, honestly. I thought it was funny. I thought it was a nice video with a dad, and that presumably he'd taken steps to look after the kid. So, for me, this feels like Karen has just gotten involved and decided to report to CPS. Unnecessarily, in my opinion. Port Arthur Police and Child Protective Services...
Testimony will continue tomorrow in the sentencing of a Nederland woman who pleaded guilty to intoxication.
I hate websites that do that. Port Arthur Police and Child Protective Services are both investigating a 25-year-old Port Arthur man because of a viral TikTok video. The man's accused of using a baby to brush snow off a car earlier this week during the winter storm that swept through southeast Texas. Police now believe this constitutes child endangerment. Port Arthur Police Chief Tim Doriso tells at 12 News they aren't releasing the man's name, but the chief expects the arrest warrant to be issued next week through Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. Yeah, the kid was laughing, exactly. I honestly thought the video was cute. How the hell you can class that as child endangerment, I don't know. This is people with too much time on their hands. Port Arthur Police say the shocking recording of a video taken from TikTok shows a 25-year-old man using a baby to remove snow from his Hyundai Elantra. We've confirmed that it was a 3-month-old baby, said Doriso. He told 12 News it happened on Tuesday at the O.W. Collins Elderly Apartments in the midst of the winter storm. It's a sad situation, and a lot of people go onto social media and they're looking for clicks, but this is not a deal where you should put a baby on the windshield. Doriso says police were tipped off about the video and showed up the same day to question the man and check on the baby. He had 2 other females with him at the time. We suspect one of them was with a mum. No shit, you think? And the baby was just fine. 12 News was pointed in the direction of the man's apartment, but there was no answer when knocked on the door. He said investigators are still looking at the man's criminal history, but he's expected to be charged with child endangerment. As far as Doriso knows, the baby is still with the parents. The man could be arrested as early as next week. That's some bullshit. Hang on. You know what? No, I'm going to bring up the video because I think that's some bullshit. Let me just check whether or not they got... I think that's... I want to say that's it. Oh, hang on, no, that says UK, so that can't be it. Come on, show me the damn video. Did the Independent have it? No, no. They've only got really bad, like, photos. Eh. Oh, for God's sakes. He asked if the baby wanted to help Daddy clean the snow off the car. Well, such bull man is harmless. Was the kid like in snow gear? Then it was fine. Yeah, well, I mean, the kid's very clearly in snow gear. Like, I'm mildly concerned that the feet may not have been enough covered, but I mean, but yet people actually hurt the kids, don't see child endangerment charges. I've literally dealt with it here. Oh, there you go. So that was that one. Florida attorney allegedly attacked a father whose daughter cut him off in a buffet meat station line. A Florida attorney allegedly attacked the father of a girl who cut in front of him in a buffet line at a wedding. According to Palm Beach County records, Mark Rower, 52, is accused of one count of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. I'm willing to bet it was the fork off his plate. During the wedding reception held at Boca Largo Country Club on January 18, Rowe was in line for a prime rib carving station when two young girls cut in front of him, according to the news station. The police reports that he confronted the father of one of the girls. While an employee and the victim said Rowe hit him over the head with a dinner plate, Rowe declined the allegation, saying that the event was a dry party. See, I was joking when I mentioned a dinner plate, but holy shit. Florida. Law and Crime described a melee breaking loose after the assault that involved a large number of guests. Rohrer admitted to making first contact by pushing the victim, police reports said. He was booked into jail and released after paying a $1,000 bond. Tell me this video. Nope. Just a really bad mugshot. That's funny. Okay, moving on. A doctor could end up with 2 wives if his divorce is overturned by Scots court. A former football club doctor faces having 2 wives if a groundbreaking legal judgment goes ahead. Bjarni Evensen, who has worked for Hibs, Dunfermline, Stirling Albion and Edinburgh City, was told that his 2021 divorce can be reversed over a financial wrangle. But he married his second wife in 2023. The 51-year-old will be plunged into a unique and legally complex scenario where he has 2 wives. Legally mandated bigamy. The doctor said this is something we haven't been able to get the proper answer to. At the moment, we're looking into what options we have. We've been given 4 months to find a solution. Given that I've married again, all I want to do is put this behind me and move forward. The situation emerged after his ex-wife, 50, claimed that she hadn't agreed to ending their marriage and that the financial loose ends from their separation had not been resolved before the divorce was granted. Oh, woman, seriously? Put him away. A procedural error by her solicitor meant that it wasn't contested. So sue your solicitor. That's an issue for professional indemnity insurance, not for him to wind up with a second wife. Now a judge in Scotland's highest court, the Court of Session in Edinburgh, has sided with the wife. He ruled that the divorce should not have been granted and that she's entitled to have it reduced or overturned. No shit. Lord Cuby has given the couple 4 months to sort out their financial issues or the original divorce becomes invalid, leaving him married twice. He said, "I've proceeded in this way to avoid the necessity of granting a decree with consequences that would have for the husband's marriage." The doctor claimed that all financial matters relating to marriage had been resolved and thought his wife had chosen not to contest the divorce. The couple, who have 4 children together, were married in 1998 and separated in 2018 and were divorced in the Dunfermline Shire Court in November of 2021. He then remarried in December of 23. The court was told that at the date of separation, the husband had a pension worth more than £177,000 and that his ex-wife was not aware of the value. Lord Cuby added that there seems to have been an imbalance, probably even a gross imbalance, in the division of matrimonial property. The decree should not have been granted given the obvious outstanding financial matters to be resolved. The ex-wife's solicitor claimed that he had sent the necessary documentation called an NID to notify the court that the divorce was being contested. She lodged an appeal against the decree in February of 22 after finding out about it on social media. In a 12-page written judgment, Lord Cuby accused her ex of obtaining the divorce against the wife's wishes and taking advantage of a procedural mishap. He added, "I consider that the husband had acted opportunistically with no real belief that all outstanding matters had been resolved. The wife was clear that she wished to defend the divorce action. She was surprised when the decree of divorce was granted. She cannot be held responsible for the failure to lodge the NID. I consider that this is a case where the wife has established the decree of divorce should be reduced." The doctor currently works in a private clinic in Glasgow and previously spent 14 years at A&E for the health service at Lothian. I don't really care about any of the background there. Gary Sturrock of law firm Brody's said Lord Cuby's decision could render the husband's second marriage void, as he would be unable to legally have 2 wives. He added the court fixed a hearing to allow the parties to consider how to resolve the issues arising from the reduction of the divorce decree. I kind of feel like the judge has made it so she's got him by the short and curlies there. It's literally either you pay... What's half of 177? It's either you pay a half of this £170,000 or your entire marriage is null and void. I don't think that's going to end well. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking, Rich. I don't necessarily think that would apply here either. Bet the new wife hates the old wife. In doing so, the court acknowledged the profound implications of the decision, especially for the husband's subsequent marriage. If the reduction of the divorce decree renders the second marriage void, the consequences could be far-reaching. This serves as a stark reminder for the responsibility of solicitors to approach family law disputes with reasonableness, efficiency, professionalism, and a focus on minimising unnecessary conflict for the benefit of all involved. I don't think it's strictly that he even hit it. It sounds like there was some sort of procedural stuff up. So I don't know, honestly, on that one. Cocoa Beach principal teacher arrested at a house party with over 100 juveniles, many of whom were drinking, according to police.
But first, the underage house party that got out of hand in Cocoa Beach was even more troubling allegations against an elementary school principal and teacher. So glad you're with us. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
And I'm Matt Austin. You're watching News 6 at 5:30. Police told us Friday they busted a huge party at the home of Teddy Roosevelt Elementary principal Elizabeth Hill Brodigan. Also at the party, the night of Sunday the 19th, police say teacher Carly Anderson was drinking around several dozen students. News 6's James Sparvero is looking to talk to them after they both went to jail on charges including child neglect.
I just got to the principal's house where Cocoa Beach police say there were about 100 teenagers drinking here, some as young as 13 years old. We now know the principal is out on bond, so I'm going to ring her doorbell and see if she has anything to say for herself if she's home.
Oh, please, she ain't going to answer that.
So just like Friday night when our Stephanie Rodriguez did a door knock,
We're looking for Elizabeth?
no one answered the door for me either. Now it turns out the teacher happens to live on the same street. She's also out on bond.
Didn't I see these two on Evil Dead? Okay, I'm sorry. Looking at these two, given that they were having an alcoholic party with over 100 teenagers, you can't tell me that both of these women weren't looking to score. In one way or another. Be it a bit of hanky-panky or illicit substances, I don't know. I'm sorry, teachers don't just randomly do that, okay? Something there is off in my personal opinion. Teachers had an affair, drunk at work, but neither with the students. Yeah.
I'm gonna see if she's home. Are you Carly? I'm looking for Carly Anderson.
She running.
Carly, I just wanted to talk to you about the party, and if you wanted to give your side of the story, this would be your opportunity. A new affidavit I just got reads Anderson wasn't quiet at the party. The defendant, who is known to be a third-grade teacher at Roosevelt Elementary School, began to walk up and berate BCFR. That's when Brevard County Fire Rescue was treating an underage drinker. I also learned from the new report why all the students were wearing matching clothes. Police say it was a white lie party, and according to kids who were there, parties like this happen once or twice a month at the principal's house. I also read there were students fighting at the party, yelling at neighbors, and someone even brought a gun, all while Principal Brodigan did nothing to stop it. In fact, the police say that she had kids help her get set up for the party. While these two are on administrative leave, the school district says there's a new principal for the time being at Roosevelt.
Well, it's not going to be for the time being. What?
Roosevelt Elementary School. In a letter to parents, Superintendent Dr. Mark Rendell wrote, "We hold our leaders to the highest of standards, and if these allegations are true, it's a complete failure in leadership and violation of our trust."
No shit, you think?
In Cocoa Beach, Brevard County, I'm James Sparvero, getting results, News 6.
And clearly not having any sort of charisma for TV. Holy shit balls. Cocoa Beach Police Department said officers responded to the home, observed a large party, many of whom were wearing matching t-shirts. Police alcohol was available in coolers at the home, which was owned by the principal. Police said that while the officers were investigating the party, a juvenile was located on the front lawn experiencing an alcohol-related medical event. The juvenile was heavily intoxicated to the point that they had to be that Brevard County Fire Rescue had to treat them. While this was happening, according to police, the principal was seen by officers in the driveway of her home, turning off the outside lights and entering her residence, causing them to use auxiliary lighting on their vehicle to treat the child. She turned the lights off and tried to run, saying it wasn't her problem. Is that a different... Yeah.
Developing tonight at 11, a house party where police found 100 underage kids and booze. One teen so sick from drinking, paramedics had to help. Another arrested for DUI, and police say it happened at a principal's home. Her school web bio says Elizabeth Hill Brodigan just became the principal of Roosevelt Elementary in May of last year. Tonight, she is off the job and under arrest, and so is a teacher over a party on Country Club Road, just about a mile from their school. News 6 reporter Stephanie Rodriguez is in Cocoa Beach.
A teacher and the principal of Roosevelt Elementary were arrested for allegedly throwing a party at this home with minors that police say led to a DUI and a case of alcohol intoxication. Investigators report...
Look, they could try, but I'm not going to lie. At that point, it would open themselves up to certain liabilities, in my opinion, as well. Holy crap.
They got a call about a house party on Country Club Road on Sunday. When they arrived, police found over 100 juveniles in the home with matching shirts on. Some were drinking alcohol that was later found in coolers in the home. Police also found a juvenile on the front lawn who was so intoxicated they had to be treated by paramedics. Police say the home belongs to Elizabeth Hill Brodigan, who, according to the school's website, is the principal of Roosevelt Elementary. In their release, police explained that while the juvenile was being treated, Hill Brodigan was seen by officers in the driveway of her home, turning off all exterior lights before going inside. Police say another Roosevelt Elementary School employee, Carly Anderson, approached them intoxicated, saying she was a teacher and had been at the party. Another teen was also pulled over and arrested for DUI near the home. Cocoa Beach police arrested Hill Brodigan on charges of child neglect, delinquency of a minor, and holding an open house party. Anderson is accused of child neglect and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. I stopped by the home to speak with Hill Brodigan. We're looking for Elizabeth?
Okay, I had to look it up, and I think that the purpose, the point behind that party is a little bit creepy as well. I'd never heard of a white lie party. Apparently, it's an event where people decorate T-shirts with lies that they either have told or whatever, and then they dance around in it. It's kind of like a semi-purge thing, apparently. I have no idea if the Karen Reid trial stuff's going live this morning. I mean, if it did, then it'd probably be worth me staying up, but no idea.
But no one answered the door. Both women are off the job and on paid leave during the investigation. In a statement, the school district said, "We are extremely troubled by these accusations and are fully cooperating with the Cocoa Beach Police Department. Our commitment to student safety remains our top priority." While police did interview numerous parents and juveniles, they do ask anyone with any additional information to contact them. Reporting in Brevard County, Stephanie Rodriguez, Getting Results, News 6.
Getting Results, jeez. All right. A judge has ruled that a Brazilian boy can officially have 3 fathers and 1 mother. After a 6-year-long legal battle, a court in the Brazilian state of Espírito Santo has authorized a child to be officially registered as the child of 3 fathers and 1 mother. Ana Paula Morbeck, the lawyer who represents the now 10-year-old child, told CNN affiliate CNN Brazil, "You'd never guess that CNN Brazil is an affiliate of CNN." That the child was regularly registered at birth with his biological father and mother. However, due to his biological parents' complex and inconsistent marriage, the paternal uncle and his husband helped to take care of the boy, the lawyer explained. What was supposed to be sporadic became routine, and this created emotional bonding with the then baby. After his biological parents divorced, the child went to live full-time with his uncle and his husband. They took care of his health, education, food, recreation, and they also gave him all the love and security for his health. CNN Brazil reported that as the child started school, he expressed his desire to get formal recognition of what he believed to be true, that he had 3 fathers. No, you have a father and an uncle who loved you dearly and your uncle's boyfriend. But okay. The lawyer explained that the family had to file a lawsuit in 2019 to reach this recognition, but the request was initially denied by the local court, who ruled that the change of paternal custody would only be possible through adoption. That wasn't what the family wanted, because the child recognises his biological parents and considers them as such, despite having strong bonds with his socio-affective parents. On January 21, another tribunal ruled in the family's favour and ordered the registration of the same-sex couple as legal parents for the boy, who now has officially got 3 fathers and 1 mother. The family's lawyer stressed that the love, affection, and care that the child felt for his uncle and his husband were the basis for the court's decision. A decision like this recognises that families come in many forms, many types, and strengthens the bonds of affection. Same-sex adoption has been illegal in Brazil since 2010. I don't have an issue with same-sex adoption for obvious reasons. I am concerned that this is a legal precedent that may cause confusion and problems down the track. Imagine trying to make some sort of decision and your voice is one of 3 instead of one of 2 as a parent. Oh, that's right. It's the Dorbit hearing. Yeah, it's supposed to be going. Oh, man. I really want sleep, though. Shit. All right, hang on. Why make things more confusing? To keep it simple? I would have thought so. Side note, this might be an issue with designer babies at some point. Yeah, probably. Alright, I still had a few different news articles, but... Oh, wait, hang on. The Dorbit hearing's going to go for like 5 hours or something like that. No, you know what? I'm going to do my news articles and go to bed. Ex-con arrested for a bologna battery. An ex-con has been locked up without bond for an alleged bologna sandwich battery, said Florida police. Aquavius Chandler, a 29-year-old convicted felon, was arrested on Sunday following a confrontation with his stepfather over the accused man's use of a PlayStation 5. According to the criminal complaint, the victim told cops that he removed the gaming system from Chandler's bedroom because he was being too loud while using it. The victim stated that the defendant became aggressive and began to yell at him. The victim, the 62-year-old, said that while he was being yelled at, Chandler threw a bologna sandwich at him, which ultimately hit him in the chest. Investigators said that the man had no visible injuries from the strike, which he recorded on video. Seen above, Chandler was on probation at the time of his January 26th bust and reportedly confessed to the bologna toss inside his Woodwild residence. While the domestic incident would normally be charged as misdemeanor, the alleged battery was upgraded to a felony. Jesus Christ, it was upgraded to a felony. My bologna has a first name. It's... Wow, I just completely mind blanked. Shit. It was upgraded to a felony due to his multiple prior battery convictions, 2 of which involved video games. In 2023, he pled no contest to choking his sister during a dispute that in part stemmed from him playing video games. He served about a year in state prison for that case. In 2022, he was nabbed for a violent encounter during which he threatened a 60-year-old man with a knife and shoved his sister, 28, to the ground. A judge guilty of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and battery. He told the cops that he got upset that his video game, which led him to arguing with the male victim. In addition to his new battery rap, he's facing probation violation. He's being held without bond in the county lockup and has been ordered by a judge to have no contact with the victim. Classy.
Paul Farrell said get some sleep, then go over it later, so you can fast forward through the BS.
It's a fair call. I'll probably see if I can do that tomorrow or the day after. We'll see what happens. Detroit priest accused of flossing his teeth with teen girl's hair and growling at her. Should I make the joke? I kind of feel like this is a reverse exorcism. You know, where the devil tells the priest to get out of the child. A Detroit priest who also bills himself as an exorcist was charged in Illinois this week in connection with a November incident in which he allegedly flossed his teeth with the hair of a teenage girl. Reverend Carlos Martins surrendered to police in Illinois and is facing a misdemeanor battery charge that could land him in jail for up to a year. Martin was in Illinois in November when he was working as a traveling priest. While there, he allegedly approached a 13-year-old girl about her hair and asked if she'd ever flossed her teeth with her own hair. Martin then picked up some of that hair, placed it in his mouth and made a flossing motion. A short time later, he sat in the pew behind the girl and began growling at her. The allegations were made by the 13-year-old victim and other witnesses who claim to have seen the incident happen. Martins currently lives and works at the Companions of the Cross Church in Detroit, but representatives of the church have confirmed he is unable to work with the public while the court case unfolds. Martin is also the star of the podcast The Exorcist Files and recently released a book under the same name. Is there video footage of this shit?
Well, also tonight, a disturbing incident involving a local priest. He's accused of grabbing a teen's hair and attempting to floss his teeth.
But the creepy allegations, they don't end there. Fox News' Jessica Dupnack with the details.
You know, people are fixed on the devil's power.
Meet Father Carlos Martins from Detroit, claims to be an exorcist.
They ask me, what have you seen? Have you seen levitation? Have you been hit with objects flying through the air? And I'll say, yeah, I've seen all of these things.
He's the star of a popular podcast named The Exorcist Files, comparing his life to the movie The Exorcist, vomiting and spitting and all. He's a member of the Catholic Church, works and lives here on Detroit's west side at the Companions of Cross Church.
The community should be able to trust these individuals.
Sergeant Dwayne English is with Joliet Police Department in Illinois. That's where Father Martins was visiting last November as a traveling priest.
Friends, my name is Father Carlos Martins, and I am the director of Treasures of the Church.
He wasn't just there to show off the relics. It's alleged he approached a 13-year-old girl, asked about her hair, specifically if she ever used it to floss her teeth with.
And then it's alleged that he then picked up her hair, placed it in his mouth and made a flossing motion.
A few minutes later, police say he sat in the pew behind her and started growling, yes, growling at her.
And that was the allegation that was made by not only the young lady herself, but the individuals.
I'm wondering if the exorcist didn't go and get himself possessed. But my question here is, if that was the case, how is he sitting in a church pew behind the girl and growling at her? But anyway.
That were around her at that time.
This week, he turned himself in on a misdemeanor charge of battery for, again, grabbing the teen's hair and trying to floss with it. We spoke to the leader at Companions of Cross Church and confirmed Father Martins is currently not able to work with the public until his case works through the courts. If he's found guilty in Illinois, it could be a year in jail, more likely a fine and or probation.
I can't imagine how scary this might have been for this young lady and the other people around her.
Yep. If found guilty, he could spend a year behind bars. Well, that'll be great for his podcast.
Tonight on the edge of controversy, bubbling up with Olympians, literally bubbling. They're
22-year-old with chronic asthma has died after an inhaler price went from $66 to $539. Holy shit. Parents of a 22-year-old Wisconsin man who died after an asthma attack have filed a lawsuit against Walgreens and United Health Group Pharmacy's benefit manager after they said the price for his medication suddenly rose from $66 to $539. Cole Schmidtnacht, 22, had lived with asthma since he was a baby, but he was able to manage his symptoms by taking Advair Discus, a preventative inhaler, every day, according to the lawsuit filed in federal court last week. Since 2023, he had health insurance through his employer that covers medication, which cost him no more than $66 each month. However, when he went to his local Walgreens pharmacy on January 10...
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
On January 10 to fill his prescription, he was informed that his medication was no longer covered by his insurance, according to the lawsuit. Advair Discus would now cost him $539.19 out of pocket, and the pharmacy allegedly told him there were no cheaper alternatives or generic medications available to him. The lawsuit also says the pharmacist failed to contact his physician or insurance company to seek an alternative. A spokesperson for Walgreens told the Huffington Post that they could not make comment during pending litigation. According to the lawsuit, Optum Rx, a company that acts as a middleman between pharmacies, insurance plans and drug companies, updated its 2024 formulary, stating that a patient using Advair Discus or a generic alternative prescription could only have it filled if they obtained prior authorization from a doctor. The lawsuit alleged that their son was not notified by his insurance or Walgreens ahead of time that his inhaler would no longer be covered, despite state laws that require notification, according to the lawsuit. He left Walgreens that day without filling his prescription, and in the days that followed repeatedly struggled to breathe and relied solely on an old emergency inhaler per the suit. 5 days later, after he left Walgreens, he had a severe asthma attack and began to asphyxiate, according to the lawsuit. His roommate drove him to the emergency room in Appleton, but he became unresponsive and his heart stopped minutes before they arrived. Holy shit. Emergency room staff noted in their records that he appeared blue. Despite efforts to resuscitate him, he never regained consciousness. He remained on a ventilator in intensive care for 6 days until his parents ended life support. He was pronounced dead on January 21, 2024. The lawsuit claims that Optum Rx would not have covered Advair Discus generic equivalents and instead only covered 2 newer brand name drugs whose manufacturer had paid Optum Rx to a substantial rebate for favourable placement on the company's updated formulary. Attorneys representing the family referred to this practice as non-medical switching, and it says it's a way for a pharmacy benefit manager to require patients to change medication in order to collect kickbacks from the drug manufacturer. Representative Jake Auchincloss, a Democrat from Massachusetts, honoured the deceased at a congressional hearing in December, calling on lawmakers to pass this Pharmacists Fight Back Act, which aims to end price gouging practices of pharmacy benefit managers. In a statement to the Huffington Post, the family attorney said that Optum and Walgreens' conduct was deplorable. The evidence in this case will show that both of them put profits first and are directly responsible for his death. That's pretty freaking messed up, honestly. If I can get my hands on the documents, I might have a look at that one, actually. I think they said it was federal, didn't they? Anyway. Man arrested after breaking into escape room in downtown Tulsa. Dude went the wrong way in an escape room. Tulsa police arrested a man accused of breaking into an escape room. Officers say David Bell, a former maintenance worker for the building, had been harassing the tenant since he was let go from the building over a year ago. When officers arrived at the scene, he allegedly threw glass objects at them, and he was later found hiding between floors on top of an elevator. Dude knew what he was doing, but holy crap. At one point, my Advair was $250 a month after insurance had to change to a less effective inhaler to afford it. Holy shit. I'm really sorry to hear that. Massillon man learns his fate for hiding 17 pounds of cocaine on a Cleveland flight bound for Minnesota. Anyway, 26-year-old man has been sentenced to 10 years in federal prison after admitting he helped smuggle nearly 17 pounds of cocaine on a flight from Los Angeles to Cleveland. The U.S. District Judge Benita Pearson sentenced William Hartson on January 23. He was also ordered to serve 5 years of supervised release after his release. Court documents say that on March 4, he and Dalvin Rogers, 29 of Cleveland, flew together from Los Angeles to Cleveland. A law enforcement dog alerted airport security personnel to the presence of drugs in their checked baggage. After retrieving their luggage, they left the baggage claim area and were stopped by federal agents. The agents searched their bag and found several bricks of cocaine wrapped in wet towels. Holy crap. Seriously? Seriously? The drugs weighed in at approximately 7.63 kilos or nearly 17 pounds with a street value of $175,000. Hartson's bag had 8.3 pounds of cocaine and Rogers had 8.5. Rogers was sentenced on August 29 to 5 years and 3 months in prison, 4 years of supervised release after pleading guilty to conspiracy and possession with intent to distribute controlled substances. This case was investigated by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security with assistance from the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. The prosecutor, oh my God. The last 4 pages is just an acknowledgement of who was involved in prosecuting them and giving themselves a pat on the ass. Wow. Way to be boring as shit. All right. Lastly, we're heading into the animal world. A Queensland man was attacked by a massive kangaroo estimated to be 2 meters tall and 100 kilos. A Queensland man in his 50s is very lucky to be alive after he was attacked by an absolutely massive kangaroo while walking to his car, having suffered serious hip injuries and wounds to his arms and chest. The man would have bled to death had his next-door neighbour not been home to assist him in the aftermath, said Willows Rural Fire Brigade's Rick Underhill on Wednesday. The man encountered 2 kangaroos, a male and a female, on his property in Willows, a rural town around 350 kilometres west of Rockhampton. The female kangaroo fled before the other bastard turned around and attacked him. He estimated the animal was around 2 meters tall and weighed at least 100 kilos. I'm willing to bet this is a case of where the fish was this big. A cat today was attacked by a giant mouse. It was a hell of a mess to this poor man. It's damaged him really badly, Underhill said. The man was driven to Emerald Hospital before he was airlifted to Rockhampton Hospital, where he was in a stable condition. Huh, that's actually a really helpful image. I wonder if I can save that. I can too, look at that. There are public warnings in place for 2 large kangaroos in Willows that may pose a danger, the ABC reported. Kangaroo attacks are rare but can occur when the animal feels threatened, according to research on the Queensland Government's website. This bastard wasn't provoked. I've been out there 13, 14 years and I've never seen a problem out here ever. Spent nearly 20 years in the army, for instance, in all sorts of conditions and never even seen a raw attack someone before. Underhill said the community was terrified because when wild animals attack humans, they could strike again. Stay at home and don't go out, he warned. A lot of elderly people live in this community and they like to go and walk their dogs of a morning. That's just asking for trouble. He was also concerned that tourists in the area wouldn't see the kangaroos as a threat, adding that they were liable to bloody turn on you at any time, particularly around this time of year. Kangaroos on steroids, pretty much. Alrighty. And last but not least, Bigfoot's back in the news. But mainly because someone decided to get a little bit freaky while they were out there searching for him, as Bigfoot hunter's wife divorces him after cheating with his ex during the search for the monster. Why is this not... Hang on, let me see if I can fix this. No, apparently the Daily Star's website's just that messed up. A Bigfoot-loving bloke's wife has divorced him after he went hunting for the elusive beast with his ex-girlfriend. The unnamed 57-year-old's ongoing efforts to track down the Yeti had seen him trekking all over British Columbia, and according to his divorce papers, one such Sasquatch-seeking expedition... How the hell did I say that at 2:30 in the morning? According to... saw him taking along his former partner without telling his spouse. Yeah, darling, I'm just going out into the middle of the bush so I can hunt down Bigfoot. No, you got nothing to worry about. I'm just going out into the wilderness. This is according to his now ex-wife, which was the final straw to break their marriage. His wife told the British Columbian Supreme Court that he had gone on a camping trip on Vancouver Island into August 2020 in search of the legendary ape-like creature. The respondent was extremely upset by this, said Justice Robin Baird in his January 17 decision. Before the claimant returned home, she fired off a text to him declaring the marriage was over and she had never changed her mind. However, as the divorce was entering its final stages, the cheeky ex wanted spousal support. His claim for money from his former wife was based on an accident during a previous Bigfoot hunt that left him unable to work. Oh my God. Bigfoot cost me my livelihood! The court heard he was staying at a hotel in Saywood in a small village of around 300 people when he slipped on an icy staircase and fell in January 2016, sustaining multiple injuries, including fractures to an ankle and vertebrae. The court was informed that the man had been suffering from chronic and sometimes severe pain since the unfortunate incident, which persists to this day. However, Judge Baird remained unconvinced that the husband was left totally disabled by the accident and that he cannot earn income from his employment of some other kind, partly because he can't stop hunting the cryptid creature. The claimant continues to enjoy camping, fishing, hunting, riding quad motorcycles and exploring remote areas of British Columbia in search of Sasquatch. Yeah, dude. You ain't getting away with spousal support on the basis of disability. What, are you kidding me? Baird also highlighted the husband's pride in being recognised as a gifted student and his belief in his own intellectual superiority, which the judge felt could aid him in finding employment if he chose to look for it. I accept that he's no longer suited for the work requiring a lot of physical strength or stamina, but he told me himself that he has made no effort since 2016 to seek or secure employment in lighter or more sedentary occupations or to retrain for better low-impact jobs in keeping with his superior intellect and aptitude. Additionally, the judge deemed the husband's medical evidence as dated, noting that the same was presented when applying for a federal disability pension 6 years prior. The fuck? Will Trump complete a full term? Yes. No, I'm not signing up for anything. Husband was granted that pension, which was now topped up by provincial assistance payments. He has pocketed £195,000 or $350,000 in a settlement for his injuries sustained from the hotel as per the decision. Baird sanctioned the couple's divorce to be effective 30 days post-judgment without assigning spousal support or legal costs to either party. What was that spider story? Woman injects black widow spider venom to get high and nearly dies in hospital. Dumbass. Ghost ship filled with 13 decomposing bodies discovered off Caribbean islands. Yikes. Care worker who tweaked on disabled person's head in TikTok video gave cops strange excuse. Hello. Alright, one last thing. care worker who twerked on disabled person's head in TikTok video gave cops the same... Oh, for God's sakes. 19-year-old healthcare worker landed herself in hot water with authorities after a TikTok video showing her twerking on the head of a person with disabilities, and she gave the cops a strange excuse. The woman of Loganville, Georgia, was charged with exploitation of a disabled person after police were alerted to the viral video. In the clip, Koyan, dressed in scrubs and a stethoscope, is seen dancing inappropriately over a seated person. How much did he pay her? Police department started an investigation of the video that caught public attention on social media. On January 23, 2025, they were made aware of the viral video. When I watched it, I discussed it was the only word that I know. He is disabled, and then making the video and posting on social media for your own benefit is exploitation of that person. Another video from the same account shows a person appearing to be Koyan twerking atop another male patient's head as he sits in a bathtub and placing something in his mouth. Police are still investigating and have not confirmed additional charges. Jesus. In response, she responded with another clip saying, "Right now there's a video going viral of me, the healthcare worker that's dancing on top of patients' heads. It's not what it is, trust and believe. All I say now is angles play a part, and we're going into that another time." What the fuck? Trust and believe he's verbal. You all need to stop jumping to conclusions. She also gave the excuse to the cops, claiming the person whose head she was dancing on felt very aware and comfortable with her. Koyan was booked into the Walton County Jail, where she reportedly posted the $7,500 bond and was in the process of being released as of Wednesday morning. That's just messed up. But anyway. Oh boy. All right, peeps. It's 2:30 in the morning. I'm going to go and get some sleep. So, please, for the love of God, remember, you are not a piece of shit. You have value and do contribute to society, especially for being here. Thank you to everybody that's hit the like button, double-checked whether or not you're still subscribed, and thank you to everybody that sent through memberships and super chats. Very much appreciate it. For those of you that haven't caught the traveling lawyer streams, they happen most... I don't know what time it starts US evening. I think it's reasonably late. So, yeah, try and catch up on those if you can. What was the other thing I was going to say? I cannot remember me for the life. Yeah, I need to go to bed. It's midnight US. Oh, damn. Well, hopefully the morning streams for me, given that hopefully starting some point next week, I'll start doing driving streams starting at 4 p.m. Eastern as well, which will be my driving to work. If you haven't already, feel free to head over to X or onto the YouTube community page and vote for what you think those streams should be. I'll work out what I'm doing. But if you guys can give me some idea as to what you'd prefer, that'll be very helpful. But yeah, anyway, as always, stay healthy, wealthy, wise people, and I'll catch you all on the flip side. Cheers, peeps.
And again, on your way out, please do me the favor of hit the like and subscribe button if you're so inclined. It costs nothing. It's absolutely free, and we'll be friends forever. Bye now.
It's funny because Daz has got the special font on his name and YouTube doesn't recognize it. That's funny.
This shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Yeah, no after show tonight, guys. I really need to get to bed. I'll catch you all later.